Ladies and gentlemen, it's August 4th, 2010. And this is Day 9 Daily number 159. The Day 9 Daily, where our focus is to help you be a better gamer. We got a cool little PvZ action going on today between OgreEli and XLord on one of the very new fancy maps that just came out. I remember I was telling JP, the co-caster I did the countdown event with, and he's like, so what are you doing the cast on tonight? And I was like, OgreEli versus XLord, and he goes, are those Power Rangers? What, is Rita gonna make an appearance with Zordon and Alpha? I was like, that's such a good reference. Oh, so I'm very pleased here. I drank water to you, JP, in celebration. But this is one of the new maps, and this game was actually from one of the semifinal qualifiers. Actually, I'm just going to look it up to make sure I say the tournament properly. And I do want to note for the record, the replay that we're going to see, you can find at sc2win.com. Yeah, it's the semifinal from the EPS Qualifier Cup. There we go. And the map that we're playing on today is a new one called Xel Naga Caverns. So the focus of today is going to be looking at a matchup that Protoss vs. Zerg. We haven't looked at it since I started doing the daily again. And also on a new map, because there's just so much literature out there about what people think of Kulas Ravine and of Lost Temple and all that other good jazz. So when people get a new map, that can be a little uncomfortable. I mean, StarCraft 1 players, we have new maps just getting churned out every month. So we're kind of used to just constantly bending stuff. But, StarCraft 2 beta had not many new maps coming out, but also a very small map set. So that's going to be a lot of the discussion for today. But until that time that I begin the daily, I wanted to say the following three things. The Green Forest LAN Cafe is happening August 14th and 15th in Ventura, California. Green Forest LAN Cafe is making pro gamer booths and setting up a stream and everything, and I'm going to be commenting there with Diggity, so you should definitely check that out. Just check it up on teamliquid.net and definitely register, because the LAN owners are trying to make sure that 100 people are signed up to observe. So of course we want them not to freak out. Little do they know that nerds are last minute. So there's going to be 5,000 people showing up same day. But anyways, second thing, I'm going to Germany to shoutcast the Intel Extreme Masters Global Game Challenge. So if you're in Europe and you're going to be at Gamescom, I'll see you there. And the last thing is that the IC Cup TV League is having their grand final right after this. So it's an $800 prize pool. It's their Grand Prix event. So definitely check it out. And without any further ado, let us jump into the game. Bam! Apparently I am spawning way north of the top end of the map, but now I'm going to lean forward. I can even hear my audio quality improving dramatically as I scoot up. But there is XLord. And he is playing against OgreEli. And Ogre is one of those teams that, I hate to put it like this, but you should know, man. They're so old school. They're so famous. So, always cool to see the Ogre folks in there. And we're playing on Xel Naga Caverns, which we'll take a look at a little bit. His opponent is going to be, XLord, who's playing Protoss in the top right. Now, immediately, I said that we were going to take a look at the map, and we can just take a brief glance at the mini-map, and we can see things like, for the Zerg, it looks like he has a natural expansion here. Wow, that ramp is kind of far away. I mean, I'm imagining if I'm Zerg and I'm expanding here, ooh, that's going to be kind of far. For anyone, that's going to be quite a distance. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to look at the natural. That's generally what I do on a map, is just think what's unique about this. And there's a lot of factors to consider when you're looking at a natural expo. Oops, I scooted my window. I will counter-scoot it. There we go. There's a lot of things to consider in that sort of situation. Is there a cliff? Can I defend my expo and the entrance to my main easily? Are there multiple entrances to my expansion? How much space is around it? So a map like Lost Temple, not a lot of space. Very easy to hold your expansion and your ramp. There is a cliff, though. Ooh, it can be a little bit problematic. So let's do the same analysis here. Okay, hard to defend the ramp and the expo. Hard to defend the expo in general. Look at this. Is this a second entrance over here? Well, there's definitely some... Oh, there's destructible rocks here. So that's not something we're going to be too worried about. But this back door entrance that we're sort of panning along, we can see that's going to be a problem for an assault. I'm not a fan of early expand plays for any race at this point, with the exception of maybe Terran doing a big Marine Marauder style that doesn't rely on many bunkers, so you can move there quickly. Gold expansion. Ooh, yeah, so that's generally the next thing I go, is where's my third base? And notice the order that I'm doing this in. It revolves largely around expansions. When you see a new map, the first thing you do is think, what obnoxious little trick can I do? When you apparently have a drill on your hand. Yeah. You just get so obsessed with the trickery that you miss out on the fundamental component of StarCraft-style games, which is economy and when you expand and how you manage your money. So for instance, people see Lost Temple and they go, oh, there's a cliff here, I can put a cliff here. They obsess about the cliffs and the Xel Naga watchtowers in the middle, or on Kulas Ravine, people will obsess about those central Xel Naga watchtowers. What are some other classic things? Oh, blistering sands. Oh, you have a backdoor entrance. And yes, that stuff is significant, but it should never, ever, ever, ever be your first primary consideration. Just think about the expansions, because if you can say, here's a first base and here's a good second base, you've kind of already started to plan like the first 15-20 minutes of the game. So I'm seeing this gold expo and I'm thinking, wow, look, it's really close to my opponent's base. I mean, I walk towards my opponent and pass by my gold expansion. The more aggressive I am to try to attack him, the more likely it is that I can defend this gold expansion. So if I'm in the mood to be an attacker, Gold Expo is where I want to be. There's this other expansion down here that just looks really not safe. Oh my god, there's like a whole cliff here. This expansion sucks. Actually, that's a really bad expansion. There's this one up here that also looks very wide out and open. Yeah, you know, third base, I'm starting to really feel in the mood for this Gold Expo. I'm really feeling that. I mean, really, I would probably make a rally point with my units out here to defend my goal, or defend my other expo, and if he attacks up here, I can just easily wander there. Which of course means that this Xel Naga watchtower is really important. You see how suddenly, now I know places to rally my troops, and now I'm starting to think about the Xel Naga watchtowers, all just from beginning with this expansion thought process. So I really don't want to delay this game anymore, because I personally have not seen this game at all. Just a straight cold download. Again, you can get it at sc2win.com. And again, for the millionth time, the focus is thinking about what to do on this map. So I love the fact that Protoss is not trying to build a gateway down at the bottom of his ramp, as we've seen a lot of early expand styles do. And now that I've said all this stuff about the expansions being dangerous, then it becomes clear what builds will seem to work. Notice I didn't say to myself, what builds do I know? Okay, I will select this build that I have and blah, sort of bend it into this map. You just look at the map first and then just naturally accept what builds work, because that can be always a big problem that people have, is when they limit their thought process to what are the builds that I know. You know, like in early days of beta, everyone did 2 Warp Gate plus Robo pushes against Zerg, just the standard Immortal plus, you know, Stalker, Sentry, Zealot. So what you would see is players going, here's a new map, how can I do that push here? And then eventually they get to like Desert Oasis and they're like, wow, it sure is hard to get an Immortal across that whole map, because they walk like a mile an hour, or 1.6 kilometers an hour if you are one of the German fans I'm going to see in IEM. But yeah, so always what I'm going to do is comment on these builds as it relates to the map, not say, now this is a build that a lot of people know, and yeah, you know what, I'm beating the dead horse. I've said that point like a million times. Don't think about how your build serves the map. Think about how your map... Something like that. Begin with the map first, then do your build. Alright, sweet. Apparently didn't have enough coffee pre-daily. Alright, sweet. I'm seeing a spawning pool go down by OgreEli. It hasn't taken any gas geysers yet. I'm increasingly worried about his expansion. I would like speed Zerglings. I would like roaches. Some sort of mobile force to defend, as opposed to getting a dash of Zerglings and then defending here. Looks like Protoss is doing a pretty typical style. Doing the very ordinary, very excellent, not putting guys in gas. Okay, there's a Zealot popping out right now. Could be a blunder, could be intentional. I'm not entirely positive. I would assume it's a blunder if you're making your geyser that early. And though that might sound ludicrous, I've seen crazier things in my Brood War days. So it looks like OgreEli, yeah, just getting Zerglings and the Queen up. And I'm starting to think a little bit more. Straight early expand's going to be very dangerous, because we have this huge thing we need to defend. Something like a 12 pool, a very fast pool to get the Zerglings and the Queen up so we can take this and already begin making a lot of larvae. Oh, OgreEli, you know, I love this play. I love this play because, again, thinking about it in relation to the map, it is not that safe to expand as Protoss. You'd probably want to steer yourself towards a one-basing strategy. And if you can steal an extractor, that's obviously going to weaken most any one-basing strategy, unless you have some player out there who's like, 5 gateway zealot. So that's fantastic. So we already have some Zerglings popping out, and okay, you know, as time is progressing, I'm starting to have more ideas. Always had those thoughts at the start of the game of, okay, got to take this natural, and then I want to take this gold because that seems safest. And looks like some Zerglings are trying to do some magic up here. OgreEli still holding this extractor for a little while longer, and XLord finally kills it off. But I'm thinking these Zerglings, although they can do a little bit of pressure, what's even cooler is that when they have to back off like this, oh, now they can kill these destructible rocks, and I can take my third even faster as Zerg. So now I'm starting to think of ways to get an early pool out, to kill this off, to put pressure back on my Protoss-y buddy. And this looks pretty typical from XLord. 3 Warp Gate, bread and butter style for Protoss against really any race, just 3 Warp Gates. Get a lot of Zealots and Sentries and eventually back up with some Stalkers. And on this map, particularly good because we want to have a nice mobile force to be able to take our expansion. Zerg's Expo is up, starting to creep. Creep seems pretty important on this map as well. And I didn't want to do too much map analysis at the start because we would never actually watch the game. But already we can just see, oh, there's paths here and here and here, and then, oh, here's an Expo here, and there's this little loop around region. We want creep on all those lanes of Zerg so we can do lots of nice, nifty counterattacking. So, other little things to think about. Not going to be like the central crazy focus. The expansions really are that. So there is the Cybernetics Core going down. Oh yeah, why do I like this forge? Because it's something that requires one base to do, one basing strategies, going to be very, very strong. Now, don't be too literal with yourself. Don't be like, oh, well, obviously, if I'm one basing, 100% of the time I must make 4 warp gates before I do anything. This might be going a little bit overboard by XLord to be getting this 4th warp gate and the forge. Not terrible, but you need to be aware that you do need to do a ton of damage with that to sort of justify it. But, you know, just be aware that some units first with one basing. You need units to be able to defend this thing that's wide out. So Zerg, uh-oh, not really taking out these destructible rocks. What's going down in Camp Zerg? Oh, looks like we already have our layer up. Spreading creep, looking good. Moving some Zerglings out. Has that Zergling speed upgrade. Yeah, cool. And there's the Spine Crawler. Now, I want to just stop right here. And let's just look at the brief game state, which we were doing a little bit of. Oh, 2 hatcheries, 2 queens, Zergling speed almost done, layer is done. Anything else getting made building-wise from Zerg? Nope, doesn't look like it. In Protoss camp, we have 4 warp gate, we have the forge, cool. Way too often, way too often, people look at this and just say, oh yeah, it's one of those situations where it's 4 warp gate against, you know, kind of normal early expanding Zerg. But again, don't think of it as like these builds clashing. It's the map and then the builds are the next most important thing, you know, because for instance, just to do an example that I know all of you have experienced, if I said I did a Thor drop, doesn't mean very much if we're playing on Metalopolis, where there aren't really very many abusable cliffs and you can pretty much hold it with Zerglings no problem. If we're playing on Temple and you're a Zerg player, you want to start tearing your hair out because 1 Thor on the cliff ruins your whole life. Or if we're playing on Desert Oasis, 1 Thor on that edge to shoot at your geysers ruins your whole life. These are the sorts of things that are so important and why you can't just spout out, oh, yep, yeah, I've seen this build before, I totally know how this works. Because, you know, doing a 4 warp gate push on Temple feels and follows up way differently than a 4 warp gate build on this map. And so I paused right beforehand so we can start